Hello, everyone. Welcome to FSChangemakers. Today, we have someone joining us with over 3 decades' experience in the online ecosystem in India. She's been behind the start of phenomenal companies like Jeevansathi and Magicbricks and is now working on her own startup, CoffeeMug. Uh, one thing which has been common in all the companies that she's built has been matchmaking, either people looking for a life partner or people looking for a new home. And she's been somebody who graduated from St. Stephen's College and then went to IIM Ahmedabad. So the resume is very stellar. So we'll today talk about the person behind all these names and companies that she's built. Welcome, Dipti. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Adarsh. And it's really nothing as big as it sounds.
Cool. Dipti, so you've now been working for 3 decades. How do you feel about where you are professionally today?
Very honestly, pretty much I feel as excited about working as I was, fresh out of college and had started my career with Titan. And I think that's really been, one of the things or one of the driving forces propelling me to constantly do new stuff and kind of drive for something which is really different. Every day is a new day. Every business you try to set up is new, and so you're a beginner all over again. So you're every day excites me, and I look forward to, okay, what am I going to do today? What are we going to get ahead on, and what am I going to learn today? So it's very much the same. And in a startup, so all the glory, all the fame, all those big cabins and loads of reportees. Finally, you're back in a tiny startup out of a co-working space. So back to day one.
So, Dipti, you were, if we look back at your career, around 25 years back is, I think, when you first entered the online ecosystem. Internet was still at a very nascent stage. I think you even saw the dot-com crash. What gave you the confidence that internet is the space to be, and this is where I should probably try to make a career?
There were two factors playing. I was going through some very, very late days and loads of hard work at that time in corporate life. And I was constantly feeling, what the hell am I doing for somebody? So there was an idea forming in my head that I'm going to kick this and get on my own. I didn't know what I was going to do. Okay. There was one success story and a person whom one knew, briefly, and that was the story of Naukri.com. And there was just one thought that if he can do it, why can't I? This looks interesting. I know nothing about it, but knowing nothing about it was never a barrier. I believed, I mean, call it hungry, foolish, young, whatever. I believed one could learn and you could just set it up. And honestly, that's how the Jeevansathi journey began. I could see a successful jobs journey. I could see, really sad attempts at getting the print matrimonial ads online. And I saw some rocking dating sites in the US. And that's all it came together that let's just do it, And those days, one big key difference. And so today it's distraction, right? You got loads and loads of media. That time there was no media. There was no distraction. All you used to think about was how you're going to get people to adopt, right? And but like I said, it seemed exciting, something completely new. Very few people know that I actually did an HTML course for a month so that I could make my own pages. I knew I'm not an engineer. I didn't know coding. I just knew I wanted to build that product. And when you're on your own, money was at super premium, didn't have resources. So thought, learn some coding, learn HTML, make your own pages, and just let's put it out.
But then you exited at some point, and then you joined Magicbricks. How did that happen?
When we started Jeevansathi, there was no competition. And Jeevansathi was run out of the second floor of my home. In I think in a span of 2-3 years, we grew to about 30 odd people. It was running out of my second floor. We were doing well. We were making money. We were growing, but the scale was small. It was completely bootstrapped. Whatever we earned, we plowed back in. I mean, we didn't make money. Okay, we lived tight, and it was a great fun journey. We were growing, and then the space started getting exciting for others. The two big names of today, Shadi and BharatMatrimony.com, came in, and they came in with super deep pockets, right? They spent in one day what I spent in 2 months. And however good my product was, it could not, they had an army of developers. I had myself and a developer. And B, we didn't have money for acquisition. And so you were doing well, but you knew that these guys were big, here to stay, pots of money, and the distance would grow, right? You would become a distant third, and you could just fall off the horizon. And once Jeevansathi was a baby to me. Okay, you'd spent about 6 years on it, nurturing it from nothing but a hobby to a real business making difference. You didn't want it to fall apart. I was possibly immature, naive, didn't understand the concept of funding, didn't understand that if we try to get in funds, we will still be in control and we can run it the way we want to. I thought that if you got in funds, it meant I would have to do somebody's bidding, something I was just not interested in doing. And we didn't want the product to falter. And because it needed infusion of funds, you took the decision to sell it lock, stock, and barrel instead of getting some investment in.
Sure.
I honestly believe that if I had to relive that scenario today, in hindsight, I would have gone in for investment.
Sure.
After Jeevansathi, there was one regret, that I couldn't see the product to scale. I mean, scale like really big scale. We were at decent scale. We were making good money. They were good users. And pretty much, a lot of organic, some money being spent. But it wasn't like real scale. And hence, when, Times Group was toying with the idea of making a real estate portal, to me, it was another space which was, waiting to be, disrupted and something done. All I could see was, it was a very different arrangement with the Times Group, and I'm really grateful for that. I wasn't an employee. It was an entrepreneurial setup option given to me that set it for us, run it, scale it like you did, Jeevansathi. And this time, you have the might of Times, right? If you build a good product, there will be investment to scale it. Not personally in me, okay, but in the business. And like I said, I knew I wanted to do something at scale. I knew if I created a good product, there would be money put behind it. And that's exactly what happened. Okay. And you could build a product which impacted, millions. Instead of 200,000 people, I was suddenly talking of getting into something which could, and it went on to, in my 10-year journey, to impact millions of people.
If you were to take a step back and go back to Jeevansathi once again, if I draw a parallel to today's time, the Tinders and Hinges of the world are essentially what Jeevansathi, etc., were at that time. How do you see the matchmaking industry today, and how has it evolved over the last 15, 20 years?
Matchmaking is still the same as it used to be yesterday, wherein you have a set of attributes, okay, and you map every person to attributes, and every person has some kind of preferences. Okay. And finally, it is these attributes mapped with the preferences, and that's how two people always come together. Having said that, the rest of the stuff behind it had changed. You know, the number of attributes today run into hundreds, including all the activity which you do while you are, while you are looking at profiles, selecting profiles, and at that time it was limited set of attributes. Today, every action, whether you're spending 5 seconds viewing a profile, whether you're going 2 photos, whether you're spending 20 seconds on the profile, you ignore the profile, all those kind of attributes come into play. Second, those days, finally, matchmaking was search. Hard algorithms written on search, wherein the algorithm wasn't learning from itself. You as a team were learning from the performance of the algorithm and modifying it, versus AI today, wherein something is put out, there is data is trained, okay, and the algorithm learns from itself. And because there is an automatic learning, and the algorithm decides what is a critical factor, what is not a critical factor, what is the attribute which it's going to lay more importance to. So you could not do stuff like Dipti met Adarsh, show her people similar to Adarsh. My similar would have been, 5, 6 attributes,
Sure.
not the way AI puts it out today. So I think that deep tech is possibly a key differentiator. And today everything is visual, okay, far more visual than basic text pieces which used to be out at that time. Third, I think, we were, those were the desktop days. Magicbricks, we saw both desktop and mobile. Today it's all mobile, all app, all very personalized compared to standard offerings, which were there at that time. The magic is still the same.
What keeps you going? What is your why for being at the moment, having run so many matchmaking kind of businesses? And today, let's first talk about Coffee Mug, right? That is your own baby right now. So which for the viewers at large is essentially a professional matchmaking platform. What inspired you to start that after having worked for so long, where you've kind of achieved so much in your entire professional journey? What made you think that, okay, one more? Yeah.
So, when you build something and that something at scale, and there is limited competition, okay, and the teams are big, uh, pace slows down, uh, days get very predictable, okay, risk goes down, excitement goes down, boredom sets in. And being very honest, not so much the monetary variety. And there is hunger for that excitement, okay. And when you're a big established business, uh, I'm not the corporate types, okay. So it was very easy to think that, okay, ho gaya, now a lot of difference has been made, now let's try something new. So like I said, each time I've tried to do something, it's not first the idea, it's always first the thought that kuch karte hain. And now that you have so many years behind you, I was lucky. We were a set of friends who got together on this kuch karte hain got thing, and we were thinking about what to do, and you were also going back to what had been, what one had done. uh, the kick always actually has been that you made a real difference in someone's life. उसका life changing moment is what you are responsible for. I think when you've been able to do that at scale is what gives what gives you a kick. When you would see parents literally walking into the office for Jeevansathi that, hey, my son is an NRI and I'm looking help. I hear you guys do this. or when people end up buying their dream house. Okay, it was like a real difference. And behind both these products was that you've democratized the information which is needed to make a choice. Two, you opened discovery from a very limited set of options which you get, say, if you put an ad in the matrimonial, uh, you know that additional thing which used to come with the paper, or if you called up a broker, your the choices were multiplied. And like I said, so there was choices multiplication and democratization of information. And somewhere one was thinking that, are there more fields where something like this can happen? My partner is possibly a super networker, and I'm a principally a very behind the scenes person. You know, I'm thrilled and excited when I talk about work or I'm working. But besides it, I drag my feet if you ask me to go somewhere to meet someone. And hence my professional network was still very small. Okay. And we were talking about the difference networking makes in in your getting ahead, right? Now, whether you're looking for a job, you're looking for funding, or even if you're seeking investment opportunities, your choices are limited by the people you know, or some of the people in their circle. Besides that, besides that, talent many times does not get its full due because the visibility is limited. And the thought was that, is there a possibility of democratizing your network? Okay, and you grow to what you deserve to grow to. Is something like that possible? And that was really the genesis, of the idea behind Coffee Mug. It was a white space. Okay, you don't want to enter something where there is already a lot of action happening. Okay, there was something in the US which has been doing this, but on a very casual basis. There was nothing here and nothing really in the professional space. And while a lot of people tried to discourage us, saying that this is like media, and trying to attempt a media product out of India, I think we trusted our confidence and our ability of having driven success in matchmaking, and this being a real problem and a problem at scale. Uh, and that's how the Coffee Mug journey started.
Thanks for sharing that. And in parts, you've already answered the question that I originally started with, where we pivoted into Coffee Mug. So let me just move on to the next one. Over the last 30 years, across organizations, across products, what would you say have been some of your biggest lessons and learnings?
Uh, a, uh, when I started with, I think you built the product which you believed is exactly what the user needs, and this is the best user flow or the user journey. And when you would get in users for some user testing sessions, by God's grace, always believed in that. Listen to the user, and the user would do something completely different and contrarian to what you thought the user would be doing. I think one of my earliest lessons was listen to, see what he is doing, and adapt your product. Don't try to change a user's behavior. Your product needs to adapt to a user's natural instinct. Don't try to teach. Don't try to go against the grain. Even if it means you got to scrap what you've done, and and redo the journeys which you're doing. And I've seen a lot of people try to, they miss this. Accepting, admitting that what you put out is not what the user liked, and quickly making changes to be able to reach there. I think this has been learning number one. Learning number two has been that, as you build a product, ensure that you think of how you're going to monetize it. You're not doing a hobby. It's not a hobby, right? If you're going to build a business, be clear in understanding where is the dhanda in it. So you may not write it out in the beginning, but your unit economics, how you're going to make money, should always be, a building block of even when you're starting out. Otherwise, and there are many examples around us, you know, you grow, users like you, great, you got user using you, but you have no idea how you're going to make money. And before you are known for that product. Your product has that image. You have a large team which has built that large product, and then it's all pretty late in the day to start making pivots. I believe if you're conscious about and this could be a very, very traditional view, right? Possibly a view which is even many investors, may not subscribe to this view. But I'm a very firm believer that if you're doing a business, you better know how that business is going to make money and have a sense in your head that when you get it to scale, what is all it's going to entail? Will you be able to grow? Will you be able to get users? And how will you make money? I think these two, and however big you get, however big you get, instill in every member of your team, talk to users, be in touch with users, you're on the ground. So you are serving the user, be humble with the user. So I think these three put together uh, have formed the basis of 30 years of, in fact, even free online and all the three online businesses.
Thanks for sharing that, Dipti. So you also mentioned earlier that you are somebody who enjoys the early stages of a startup because that's where the risk is and that's the fun part. Do you believe there are any particular influences in your life, people or anything which makes you that kind of a person?
I think as a risk taker, it's more personal. As a risk taker, I think my father has been my biggest influencer, and was responsible for a lot of non-traditional choices I made. Uh, you know, from very early days. Uh, I think I was brought up in an environment which was very, where you were taught to be just fearless, be equal. It doesn't matter. Failure is fine. Okay, you can always come back and start all over again. I think it is just growing up in that environment that taught us. Second, I think today the scenario is very different. So when I did my MBA, we were 17 women in a batch of 170. Okay, and even amongst the peers, you know, many I knew that many people thought that ये लड़कियां क्या करेंगी, and I think that always, and coming from an atmosphere at home where everything was equal, there was just this drive to hell with you. Let me just let's just show the world, let's just show the world what one can do. And I think that has been set in motion by my dad. And in very early in my career, okay, I think I was blessed that I worked in only really, before Magicbricks, I worked in two corporates. One was Titan and one was Beecham's. I worked with three leaders have who instilled this feeling further. Okay, a gentleman called Bhaskar Bhatt, who today I think is the CEO there, and who just taught that don't be scared, go after things. It just doesn't matter. My immediate manager was a gentleman called Ravi Thakran, and those days Titan was new, breaking shackles of the watch as a fashion was just being set. And my manager he just used to think out of the box that ye karte hain, which people had not thought about. And all of those were big risks. They could have fallen flat on their faces. Sometimes we even failed. But I think, these two guys really taught me that it doesn't matter, yeah, just do it. And post Titan, I was in Beecham for a while before I broke out on my own. There again, my manager had about, I think by then, 15 years of experience. People used to talk about him. He still has day one enthu. Okay. He was as enthusiastic, whether it was a marketing brief or whatever. And again, think of what you can do differently. You're not going to do some stupid Katori offer. So I remember scouting Karol Bagh to find different schemes one could do. Whether I came back with a doodler or what, and attempting stuff which hadn't been done. So I think my dad and these three gentlemen I credit them, with shaping possibly my thinking, my approach, hunger, or even, that you're always grounded.
So you hinted upon this as well about you being a woman and some of your colleagues back in college, thinking कि ये क्या कर लेगी. But till date, we see that there is a certain amount of doubt that people have when it comes to women founders. You are somebody who's founded so many companies and having exited one. Being a part of such a scaled up founding team like Magicbricks, what was your experience like? Do you think that being a female affected your journey in any way?
I'll be very honest. I don't think it has affected my journey. One, I think in my early days, I was blessed with managers who didn't have biases. So sometimes I feel that people today may have more biases. Okay. I was honestly blessed with managers who didn't hesitate to send me to Chandni Chowk, who didn't hesitate to give me heavy targets. Okay. And there was no differential in their mind. And that's just an environment, one grew up in. And I was very conscious of the fact from my side that I would never let, I would never ever go to my manager saying, घर में ये problem है, तो हम ये नहीं कर सकते. So whatever, be and whatever would be happening anywhere. So you ensure that, you never went also with an excuse that or a reason, or even if there was a desperate need, you would do whatever it took to ensure that work was never affected. So opportunity was equal. And I'm not a part of sutta breaks or drinking sessions or whatever, but I ensured that whatever was required, I could get done, within within the confines of the office or meeting areas, wherever. And I believe in this, it's also to do with how strongly you deal with it. Your body language, your your vociferousness, your expressing opinions, raising your hand to take up challenges, your delivery, your being there. I think if at your end you ensure that it's like a gender neutral teammate, team leader who's there, I think the glass ceiling, it vanishes. It's and like I said, I've possibly been also very lucky in my early days, and yeah, and you're strong enough so you can put your view out.
Thanks, Dipti. Thanks for sharing that honestly. Also, now enough of serious talk. We'll have a quick, towards the end of the session, we generally have a quick rapid fire session. So there are 5 questions that I'll ask you, which is something we ask all our guests. Some questions are same for everyone. Some we tailor for the guest depending on their background. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Cool. One pivotal moment from your life that defines you and makes you the kind of person you are.
Clearly, the day I decided to chuck up a corporate career, it was, I think, it was 15 late nights of preparing a presentation of why after a takeover this company should be doing what it was. I found it wasteful that I have to sit and to sit and do it. Two, I realized I was possibly the tiniest cog in the wheel. So the thought simply was that if you're going to slog and slog and slog, A, do it for yourself where you don't sit and justify your presence. B, you cannot be a cog. You got to be the fulcrum. So I think that was really the pivotal moment, and that's the time when I decided to chuck it and uh, give up everything and start off on my own.
Awesome. So we've spoken about your startups. Which are the 3 Indian startups in the online space that you really admire?
Which are the 3 Indian startups that I really admire? I think some of them are different. I don't even. They may not be. They may not be very standard names.
Sure.
Okay. One of the startups that I really admire, and I don't even know how they are doing financially. Okay. One startup I really admire is Urban Ladder. Okay. I admire Urban Ladder, A, for the category they are in. And I find that, when it started, I find that as extremely brave. I admire Urban Ladder for the product they've put out. Okay. I think in the kind of category they are, there's somebody who has their ear very, very, very close, to the ground. Okay, and they've it's all user first. So third, they're doing omni-channel, okay, which is like best use of everything. So that's one startup I really admire. I admire your story. Okay, I admire your story because from a set of very very traditional media setups which used to be there. I think your story paved the way for verticalization, for creating a path, a new journey for new voices to get heard, for a completely different generation to get recognition. And again, like I said, to me, it is something. It is something which is brave. Okay. And my last startup, it's no longer a startup. It's a behemoth. Okay. My last startup, and I would really want people to think of it 25 years ago and not which is now, is Naukri.com. And the Naukri I admire is, I don't know how it is today, and today, it could be very staid and big and everything. But rewind to 1995, okay, rewind to a time, when a senior of mine decided to get into online, which nobody got into, and create something which is not only a monopoly, but just rules the system. And though they were distant learnings, I think I had a lot of learnings, from there. And at least getting into the online space was, seeing that product. So it's not a startup. And like I said, Adarsh, my list of three is very different from the list which you would get from other people.
No, I think that is the entire fun, right? Where the personal element comes into the picture about the way you look at things, and that's really heartening to see. The next one is three Indian women that you look up to.
Three Indian women that I look up to. One is not Indian woman, but she's Indian origin. Okay, that is Kalpana Chawla. Okay, and I literally felt that loss, when that incident had happened. But you know, uh, breaking boundaries, fearlessness, just daring to do that. I remember, I used to be awestruck. Second, when I was beginning my career, one of the ladies whom I used to track was this lady called Vibharishi. Okay. And, for me, it used to be that if such a lady can do something, I'm sure I'll be able to get somewhere. Okay. And third, someone I admire, follow, and I don't know is Barkha.
Got it. And the next one is five wardrobe staples that you need to have with you at all times.
Wardrobe staples. I'm not a wardrobe person. Okay. But my wardrobe staples are going to be pajamas, are going to be, uh, an extremely comfortable t-shirt, and are going to be flip-flops. And my wardrobe staples stop at three, not even five.
Great. Cool. And the last one is any message that you would like to give to our audience today.
Ah, be fearless. It's a world of opportunities today for a person of every talent. Okay, so just do what you love. Okay, and go there and make a difference, because unless you make a difference, it's not worth it. And if you're doing what you love, you will be damn good at it. I think that's really all.
Thanks, Dipti. Thanks for sharing that message. I think it is a great note to end this conversation on. And thanks for taking out the time for joining us on FS Changemakers today.
Thank you so much, Adarsh. Thanks a lot.